All right, let's talk about what is probably the single biggest, most valuable question in your entire social studies exam, that 10-mark source-based monster. The topic this time? Youth radicalization. Now, I know it looks super complex, but trust me, there's a hidden formula to getting full marks, and today we're going to break it down and solve this thing together.
So, the big question is, how do you actually lock in a perfect 10? It's not just about picking a side and sticking to it. No, it's about showing the examiner that you can think like a real strategist, that you can weigh all the evidence from every angle before you make your final decisive move. And here it is. This is our target. Parents are most responsible. See that word? Most? That is everything. The real secret to a perfect score isn't just saying I agree or I disagree. It's about building a powerful case for both sides of the argument. And then, for the big finale, showing how they're connected.
Okay, think of this as the examiner's secret playbook, the Lorm's progression ladder. You start at the bottom, right? You give a simple, one-sided answer, you get a few marks. You climb higher by arguing both sides of the coin. But the trophy, the full 10 marks, that's waiting for you at the very top. That's the balanced conclusion, where you resolve all the tension and show you see the bigger picture. So, first things first, let's build our opening argument, our thesis. We're going to load up one side of the scales with all the evidence we can find for parental responsibility. The argument? That the home is the most crucial first line of defense. The whole agree argument really boils down to one word: proximity. Parents control the home environment. They are physically there. This gives them this unique power to spot all those subtle shifts in behavior, both online and offline, long before any official authority could ever get involved. If that line of defense breaks, well, that's when extremist ideas can really start to take root.
And you know what? The sources give us plenty of ammo here. Take source B, for example. You've got a mother who dismisses her son watching extremist videos as just boys will be boys. That's a huge missed opportunity. Then you look at source C from the US, where parents were literally sentenced to prison for ignoring warning signs, making them legally complicit. And source A points to the digital gateway itself. Parents can control spending on platforms like Roblox, which can cut off a key channel that extremists use.
So, here's your exam strategy. Don't just list these facts. That's not enough. You have to explain their significance. You argue that because of this proximity and control, parents are actually best positioned to be the early warning system. They're the ones who can spot the changes in mood, the weird online habits, all the first red flags.
Okay, we've built a really strong case for why parents are responsible. But a 10-mark answer, it needs conflict, it needs a debate. So now, let's tip the scales the other way with our antithesis. This is the argument that this problem is way, way too big for any single family to handle on their own. It needs a systemic shield.
The core idea here is that online radicalization isn't a family problem. It's a systemic one. It happens secretly, online, at a massive scale, and it's powered by some seriously sophisticated algorithms. To fight something like that, you need a lot more than just concerned parents. You need the resources, the intelligence, and the authority of governments, schools, and even the tech giants themselves.
First up, let's look at the government's role. Source B makes it clear that when things get really serious, it's the Internal Security Department that has to step in. They provide professional rehabilitation, and they support families who are completely out of their depth. And as Source D reminds us, the threat remains high. This isn't just a family issue, it's a matter of national security. And this systemic shield, it extends into our communities too, with schools forming another critical layer of defense. Source D talks about counter-radicalization workshops for students. And the goal here isn't just boring lectures. It's about building a peer-to-peer safety net, training both students and teachers to spot the signs and protect each other. And finally, we have to talk about the digital world itself. I mean, sources E and F put the responsibility squarely on the gaming platforms. Extremists are exploiting these huge open-world games to recruit and even train people. So the argument is pretty simple. If you build the world, you have to police it. Platforms like Roblox and Call of Duty have to be on the front lines, proactively monitoring and removing this poison from their systems.
So we've argued both sides, but to get those top marks, you need to show why one side just isn't enough on its own. It's time to expose the crucial blind spot, the fatal flaw, in the argument that parents are most responsible. And that blind spot? It's the massive generational and digital gap. Radicalization happens quietly, online, in these hidden spaces parents might not even know exist, like private Discord servers or custom game lobbies. The truth is, Many parents just don't have the digital literacy to recognize the coded language or the subtle grooming tactics that extremists use. So placing the main burden on them isn't just hard. You could argue it's just plain unfair. Okay, this is it. This is the final move. This is the one that takes you from a good score to a perfect one. We've weighed both sides of the argument. Now it is time for the synthesis, the balanced, sophisticated conclusion that brings it all together and seals the deal for the full 10 marks. So just look at all the different players here. Each one has a vital role to play, but each one also has a critical weakness. Parents, they have proximity, but they face a huge digital gap. The government has legal power, but it can't be in every home 24/7. Schools can educate, but that's only effective during school hours. And the platforms, they can moderate, but let's be real, they're often driven more by profit than safety. The conclusion is absolutely inescapable. No single group can solve this alone.
So, the most important point is this. The burden cannot and should not rest only on parents' shoulders. Preventing self-radicalisation requires an interconnected defence network, a web of shared responsibility. You've got authorities providing the legal power, educators building awareness, platforms enforcing digital safety, and parents managing the immediate home environment. Every single one is codependent on the others.
We've built the argument, now let's build your answer. Here is the exact blueprint you can take with you straight into the exam hall to write that perfect 10-mark response.
Here you go, your 3-paragraph structure for our perfect 10. Paragraph 1 is your thesis. You agree with the statement using all those sources on parental proximity. Paragraph 2 is your antithesis. You disagree, using the sources that show the systemic power of the government, schools, and platforms. And finally, paragraph 3, your synthesis. You expose the blind spot, that digital gap, and deliver your final judgment. This is a shared responsibility. Simple as that. So that's how you hack the scales of responsibility. You've seen the strategy, you've got the evidence, and now you have the structure. The puzzle is basically laid out for you. The only question left is, are you ready to go and build your own 10-mark argument?